My Little Puggy by DarthWill3, Part 2. Chapter 4. Sugar Cubes, Pinky, and Puppies. Outside the door of Sugar Cube Corner, run by Mr. and Mrs. Cake, Rainbow, Tank, and the Wonder Pugs stepped inside the very sweet shop that Pinkie Pie resided and paid for her own room and board. Here was hoping that she would be more cooperative than Twilight. As Rainbow knew, Pinkie was an expert on having fun. How could she even resist playing with 4 little pug puppies? By the time the group of 6 entered the building, however, it was completely deserted. There were just baked goods, cakes, cookies, biscuits, pies, candies, cupcakes, muffins, coffee beans, and donuts, all across the stacks, desk, and display windows. Not a pony was to be found, except Rainbow. She guessed that the cakes themselves were out for a walk. But where was Pinkie? She asked herself. Cautiously, Rainbow looked around before she inquired, Is there any pony home?" Suddenly, from behind the desk, Pinkie Pie popped her head out and shouted, "Hi, Rainbow Dash!" Rainbow shrieked and flew right on top of the chandelier. This was one of the many times Pinkie would surprise her, and she hated those times. Why are you sitting on top of the chandelier, Rainbow Dash?" asked Pinkie, innocently. "Pinkie Pie," seethed Rainbow, hopping herself off into the air and back onto the floor. "Don't you scare me like that." "I scared you?" Rainbow gave a heavy sigh. There was no use reasoning with Pinkie. Fleetfoot gave a yip, drawing Pinkie's attention to the Wonder Pugs. Pinkie gasped. She rushed over to the puppies and looked at them intensely in the eye, babbled, "Oh, what fantastically fluffalicious furry little friends you have there, Rainbow!" she giggled as Fleetfoot gave her a lick on the cheek. "And quite kissy, too." "Yeah, I noticed." The last time Pinkie used that phrase, Rainbow remembered, it was fantastically fluffalicious, feathery little friend. And that was when they and the other ponies, Rarity, Twilight, Applejack, and Fluttershy, met Aloysius. How much more trivial could it possibly get? "Where'd you get 'em?" asked Pinkie, not keeping her eyes off the puppies. "It's not every day you find such sweet little angels with curly tails, flattened faces, and teeny-weeny paws." "Yeah, they're really swell," Rainbow responded, nearly choking on the other word that began with an S and a W. That was a close call for her. "Tank and I found these little guys in a bag," she continued. "They got no home, so I thought that, well, maybe you could look after them?" Pinkie popped her eyes out in surprise. "What?" she squeaked, turning to Rainbow. "Uh-oh," thought Rainbow, a sheepish smile showing on her face. "That doesn't sound too good." And it didn't. "No, no, 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 no," Pinkie rapidly put in, shaking her head. "I got other responsibilities to worry about. Planning parties, baking the sweets, babysitting Pound and Pumpkin Cake." "Oh yeah, the twins," chuckled Rainbow, a mental slap hitting her across the head. "I forgot them. But more to the point, there are a number of reasons why I can't keep puppies in the house. Number 1 is—" Pinkie was rudely interrupted when she and Rainbow heard a sort of munching sound. They looked to their left to find a little pug puppy sinking his head into a vanilla cake with pink icing on the window display. "Rapid fire!" shouted Rainbow. Pinkie rushed over and pulled the puppy out before he could make a tunnel in the cake. "How dare you eat the cake!" she roared, looking at Rapid Fire face to face. Rapid Fire licked on the pieces of the cake that covered his face, swallowed, belched, and panted. "Sorry about that, Pinkie," said Rainbow, as she walked over. "I had no idea how hungry the puppies were. So that's the number 1 reason, right? About puppies being bad for business?" Pinkie gave Rainbow an ominous glare and walked up to her, causing her to step back towards the wall. "I've dedicated my life for the cakes, Rainbow," she growled. "This shop, The very existence of this business depends on the goodliness of these goods. And your little doggy—" She softly laughed a little before she slowly burst out in a demonic voice and fury eyes. "Almost destroyed it." "I get it!" Rainbow exclaimed hastily, her back against the wall. "I get it! You eat it, you buy it!" "See that you remember to pay for the cake," warned Pinky, her mood relaxing a bit. "I'll be waiting." Rainbow gulped. Moments of Pinky being scary were rare. This moment, however, was the scariest yet. "Now," continued Pinky, back to her characteristically cheerful self, "on to reason number 2. But before she could even begin with the verification of that reason, both ponies heard the whirring noise of a mixer. They looked behind them and could see 2 curly tails poking out of the bowl that swirled around. Worried, Rainbow ran over, stopped the mixer, and picked up the 2 puppies from the bowl. "Spitfire!" she chastened. "Fleetfoot, this is a mixer, not a merry-go-round." Undaunted, the puppies were placed back to the floor and resumed their playing. "So, Pinky," said Rainbow, "you were talking about reason number 2? "Oh, yeah," remembered Pinky. "If you have a baby or 2 in your house, you have to take care not to let a dog scratch or get fleas on them or have any barking wake them up, and unfortunately, I'm not fit to be responsible for either of those precautions. As for reason number 3... Once again, she never got to finish that sentence. She caught her eye on another puppy, and he was chewing on something that wasn't a baked product. It was green, scaly, purple-eyed, and had no teeth at all. "Gummy!" cried Pinky as she ran over to her tiny pet alligator, whose tail the puppy's mouth was on. Pinkie Pie," said Rainbow, unsure. "I don't think Gummy's complaining." She was right. Gummy was just standing there, not the least bit disturbed by Puppy's actions. But then, he was never much of a lively little alligator at all, except when he was attaching his mouth to Pinky multiple times a day. Ignoring Rainbow's remark, Pinky succeeded with minimum effort to dislodge the little puppy from Gummy's tail, and looked at him in the eye. "Okay, mister," she spoke severely. "Gummy is not a chew toy. You might think you're acting like the alligator he is, but deep down inside, you're a pug." She paused for a second before repeating empathetically, "A pug." The puppy said nothing. He just smiled and wagged his tail. "Sorry about that, Pinky," said Rainbow, while taking the puppy away from Pinky. "Soren didn't know any better, that's all." "Huh? Soren?" Pinky was almost speechless for a moment before she started getting sentimental. "Aw, Dashy!" she sighed, giving Rainbow the rarely used affectionate nickname. "You named this little guy after your boyfriend?" Rainbow's eyes widened. Her eyeballs shrank. Her heart stopped beating for a few seconds before pumping a lot harder. Her face flushed redder than it did this morning at Fluttershy's house. "He's not my boyfriend!" she yelled, after coming within close proximity of Pinky's face. Then, suddenly restraining herself and looking up toward the ceiling, she whispered, "The babies aren't upstairs, are they?" "Nope," Pinky replied cheerfully. "Mr. and Mrs. Cake took them on a picnic half an hour ago." "Phew!" Rainbow mopped her face, relieved. "So what was reason number 3 again?" "Well," began Pinky, "since these little puppies are pugs, I can't afford to even sleep with them. They snort a lot. It'll keep any pony close to them up all night, unless you're used to it, which I'm not." Just then, they heard a snorting from Fleetfoot, another from Rapidfire, the next from Soren, and the last from Spitfire, as they all played along together. The snorts may have sounded loud, but they were as soft and tiny as the 6-inch Wonder Pugs themselves. "See what I mean?" asked Pinky. "By the way, when you have animal trouble, go see Fluttershy." Rainbow looked away in disgust. "For Pete's sakes, Pinky," she groaned. "Not you too." Pinky raised an eyebrow. "Huh?" "Never mind. I can take a hint." Rainbow turned her to her tortoise and said, "Come on, Tank, let's gather the Wonder Pugs and head out." "Okie dokie Loki," chimed Pinky. "Come again soon, Rainbow." After leaving Sugar Cube Corner and the right amount of money for the cake at the counter, Rainbow couldn't help but feel frustrated. She stomped her hooves on the ground hard. In just one day, the Wonder Pugs had been turned down a home by two of the Pegasus's best friends and for very good reasons. It was their advice that ticked her off. "First Twilight," she complained. "Now Pinkie Pie. Don't they know Fluttershy is busy enough as it is?" "Well, guys," she said to the Wonder Pugs calmly, "looks like we'll have to find some pony else to give you a home. But who could—" She stopped herself as another idea popped into her head. There was only one pony she knew who would be more than generous to give 4 pug puppies a home. Rarity! Chapter 5. The Wrath of Catzilla. In the front porch of the Carousel Boutique, which was resided by Rarity as her home, Rainbow pressed her right hoof against to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. "Guess it's locked," she concluded out loud. She turned to Tank and the Wonder Pugs, who were inquisitive for results. "I'll try knocking," she said, and she did so, softly. "Hello?" she called. "Rarity?" There was no answer. She knocked again, just a tad bit harder. "Are you in there, Rarity? I need to talk to you." Like before, there was only silence from within the house. Rainbow seethed impatiently and pounded on the door. "Rarity! Open this door for Pete's sake!" When it became evident that no pony was going to answer, she closed her eyes and breathed a heavy sigh of resignation. "Well, Wonder Pugs," she spoke at last, "Rarity's not home. Guess we're gonna have to wait until—" She stopped, almost instantly after opening her eyes. For a moment, her mind went blank. She thought she was imagining things, that her stress was clouding her vision. But it wasn't. Tank was there next to her. He was standing still. But the Wonder Pugs, they weren't there. They were gone. Gone. "Tank," Rainbow asked anxiously, "where are the puppies?" In response, Tank pointed his head to the direction of the door. "Huh?" Rainbow wasn't sure what her tortoise was trying to say, but after looking up at the door and all the way down, she saw a small entrance that opened via a push on the flap covering it. "You mean they went into the house?" Tank nodded. Rainbow peeked through the flap and saw the Wonder Pugs snorting and barking as they chased each other around the shop part of the house. They barely missed putting their dirty feet on the nearby dress racks and design tables. The rug was riddled with tiny paw prints and covered in dirt. "This is perfect," she ranted. "Just perfect. Now we're gonna have to wait outside while 4 puppies are inside and turning Rarity's shop into a mess. When she gets back, she'll kill me." She then noticed Tank trying to go through the small door. It was his size on the vertical angle, but it was not enough on the horizontal, thanks to his shell. "Nice try, Tank," soothed Rainbow, yanking the tortoise back outside and onto the porch. "I know we have to get the puppies out, but we can't fit in that door. It's only big enough to let in a cat." Her voice trailed off to a moment of realization before she could finish that word. Cat. The puppies had entered the boutique through a cat store. There was only one cat that Rarity kept as a pet, and that cat was... "Oh no!" Rainbow's pupils shrank once more. Her teeth clenched. Her whole body stood paralyzed, except for her lips as they spoke out those 4 words. "What have I done?" Inside the boutique, the innocent, playful little Wonder Pugs were feeling a bit thirsty after running around so much. As energetic as they were, Their small legs rendered them to exhaust so easily, and they had been running for hours. But before they could drop down to a heap, they spotted a stroke of luck that made them regain their energy. Ahead of them, in the kitchen, was a silver dish of milk. It looked delicious. How could they resist such a delicacy? They rushed over to the dish, Fleetfoot beating the rest to it. As she and Soren drank, Spitfire yawned loudly and Rapidfire gave a scratch to his itchy face before joining their siblings. While the puppies slurped down the rich milk, they were unaware of the white, puffy cat watching from the entrance of the kitchen. Her name was Opalescence, Opal for short. She had been resting on Rarity's bed since lunchtime and was feeling parched herself. She headed downstairs to the kitchen to drink from her fancy cat bowl, only to find that the rug had been covered in what looked like dirt-made footprints. At first, all 4 sets of tracks were separate, as if whoever made them went running around. Then they were all grouped together and all led to the kitchen. Opal followed the trail. She didn't expect to see what horrors this discovery could unleash. There, her favorite bowl was being occupied by 4 little pug puppies. Opal stood, frozen. The purple bow on her head pointed upwards, straight as a pin. Her left eye made a twitching movement. Her tail stopped moving. What were those puppies doing here? In this house? In this kitchen? Drinking her bowl? How dare they contaminate their germs into her property? Surprise turned to anger as Opal showed her teeth, bared her claws, and made a quiet growl as to not alert the puppies of her presence. Quietly, she crawled onto the tiled kitchen floor, working her way towards the enemy. Moments later, she was centimeters away from the puppies, her shadow looming over them, and the bowl altogether. The puppies stopped drinking after noticing the shadow that darkened the milk. They slowly turned their heads in curiosity to see what was making that shadow, and were mesmerized, but not for long. Opal growled, raised her right claw, and went for a rapid swipe. Unfortunately, the puppies scattered away, causing her to hit and flip the dish in her direction. Milk washed all over her. Cursing herself for being too slow, the cat raced after the fleeing puppies, ignoring the wet milk on her fur. This was no time for a bath. This was time for payback. Come on, Tank, urged Rainbow, grunting between breaths while pushing her tortoise into the cat door. We just gotta get in there, somehow. So far, this method of saving the puppies wasn't working, and she knew it. If only she had had the key to the house. Excuse me, Rainbow Dash? Rainbow stopped the pushing process and looked to find Rarity holding shopping bags on her back and her little sister, Sweetie Belle, standing right behind her, off the front porch. Both unicorns had the expression of confusion. Why are you trying to put Tank through Opal's door? Continued Rarity. Don't you know that, turtles? Began Sweetie Belle before correcting herself. I mean, tortoises can't fit in holes like that. Relieved, but still desperate, Rainbow rushed over to her friend and said, Rarity, I need your key, and quick. This is a matter of life and death. Calm down, darling, soothed Rarity, using her horn to pull out the key from her left bag. I never thought you'd be anxious for a new dress. That's not what I mean, pressed Rainbow. We gotta get in there before... It's all right, Rainbow Dash. This will only take a second. What's your rush? Before Rarity could unlock the door, she received her answer. There was a puppy yapping and angry cat meowing going on in the house, in sync with the breaking of glass and pottery, and thuds of falling furniture, and the tearing of fabric. That was the answer she needed. Rarity turned to Rainbow and shrieked, You let puppies into my house? No time to explain. Rainbow swiped the key from Rarity's magical grasp and placed it into the keyhole, unlocking the door. Let's go! As the three ponies and Tank, the latter of which had been pulled out of the cat door, raced inside to find the room in a terrible mess. Tiny paw prints lay on the rug, the kitchen floor and the stairs, some mixed with bigger and soaked ones. A few dresses were ripped with claw marks big enough to fit those of a cat. Shattered pieces of a vase appeared next to the fallen table it had resided on, left with a few strands of white hair. Rarity froze solid. Her right eye twitched. Her mouth gaped. What on earth? She remarked, too stunned to even her head in Rainbow's direction. It was Rainbow who broke Rarity's trance as she looked around the room in haste and rushed towards her, words saying, Sorry about this, Rarity, but we gotta find the puppies, or else Catzilla gets her claws on them. What? Gasped a worried-looking Sweetie Belle. Oh, no! And she and Tank joined in on the search. Here, puppies, she called out, whistling out to wherever the little rascals might be. Catzilla? Asked Rarity. It took her a second later to realize what Rainbow was implying. She lowered her eyebrows to express a mixture of indignation and outrage. Are you accusing my little Opal Wopal of attacking a pair of puppies? Rainbow gave a quick glance to her friend and replied, Yes! Then she resumed her search. Rarity, to her credit, didn't retort to this sort of response. Just then, they all heard some more of the puppies barking from upstairs, followed by the unmistakable sound of Opal's threatening mewing. Rainbow felt a terrifying sense of apprehension in her heart. Oh no! She cried before galloping towards the stairs. We better hurry before it's too late. Chapter 6. Rarity to the Rescue and Sweetie Pug. Opal didn't know how it kept happening, but the puppies had avoided knocking down and destroying items of the household. They were just plain lucky, she supposed. She was the one doing the tampering of Rarity's stuff with her clumsiness. Well, it didn't matter now. The puppies were trapped at the closed door that led to Rarity's room. They began shaking, whimpering in fear. Excellent, thought Opal, giving herself a toothy smile. There was nowhere else for these little runts to run. She could even see her reflection on the puppy's eyes, which suited her with satisfaction. She wanted to see herself give the scratching blow. It was time these intruders were taught a little lesson on drinking from a bowl that wasn't theirs. Rarity would be so proud when she saw what a good job her cat had done. Opal slowly raised her right paw, brandishing its claws as if drawing a sword from its sheath. This made the puppies shut their eyes and embrace each other in comfort. She was just starting to give it one good swipe when, Opal Essence, no! Opal barely heard Rarity speak those words before she was levitated off the ground and away from the puppies by her master's horn. Rainbow rushed past the currently incapacitated Opal, incapacitated as in suspended in the air by magic, and embraced the shaking Wonder Pugs in her arms, tears running down her eyes. She had received pangs of regret the moment she rushed up the stairs after the puppies. How could she have been so reckless? Why didn't she remember Opal in the first place before coming here? What happened to the puppies might have been pretty horrible, had Rarity not arrived in time. I'm so sorry, little guys, she sniffed. I promise I'll never put you all in danger again. The tiny pugs were glad to be saved by the bell, so they instantly yipped and nudged their heads on Rainbow as a means of thanks. She didn't even mind this a bit anymore. It was becoming mutual. Rainbow turned back to see Rarity talking to Opal, severely. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, chested Rarity. I cannot believe what I have seen, Opal. How could you sink so low as to try and scratching 4 young, harmless, defenseless, innocent little pouge puppies? Rainbow and Sweetie Belle exchanged glances. Pouge? They asked simultaneously. It's fancy for pugs, dear, explained Rarity, before returning to her furious conversation with Opal. Just for that, there will be no more of your favorite toy for a month. Opal immediately shrunk to a state of extreme depression, as if she were given a cruel and unusual punishment. Her rubber mouse was her most prized possession, and all the ponies knew it. Moaning, the white cat slowly made her way into Rarity's room and closed the door behind her. I'm so sorry, Rainbow Dash, soothed Rarity. I have no idea what's gotten into Opal. That's okay, replied Rainbow. At least the puppies are safe. Aww, cooed Sweetie Belle, looking down at the Wonder Pugs. They look so cute. Yeah, they're pretty keen, stammered Rainbow, nearly ending that disrebuttal word with an U sound better than the letter T. Keen. Yeah, that's it. Rarity and Sweetie Belle looked at each other for a moment, confused, before the former turned her head to a zoom toward like Soren's. Yes, they are rather darling. At that instant, Soren liked Rarity's cheek, causing her to twitch. A few seconds later, she was screaming like mad. Ah! I've been kissed by a dog! And off she went, running downstairs and continuing to rant. I've got dog germs! Get some hot water! Get some disinfectant! Get some iodine! All 4 of the Wonder Pugs held out their tongues and retched in disgust. What's her problem? Asked Rainbow. Well, that's Rarity for you, shrugged Sweetie Belle. She turned her attention back to the tiny pugs and cooed. Come here, little guys. Auntie Sweetie wants to... Suddenly, all the Wonder Pugs just jumped up at Sweetie Belle and knocked her down to the floor. They were swarming around the little filly, each taking turns at licking her face while nuzzling her at the same time. Stop! Squeaked Sweetie Belle, unable to control the laughter from her voice. No, stop! Cut it out! I can't breathe! Rainbow looked at the whole situation with bewilderment. Since when did puppies ever become this hyper so quickly after being almost clawed by a vicious cat? She looked at Tank, who just blinked as usual. None of them knew the answer. They just watched Spitfire, Rapidfire, Fleetfoot, and Soren licking Sweetie Belle to death. When Rarity came back, having recovered from her hysteria over a dog's usage of a kiss, Rainbow whistled and the Wonder Pugs got off Sweetie Belle at the call. You know, Rainbow Dash, spoke the elder unicorn, I noticed that you bought those puppies some name tags and collars, and I must say you have an excellent taste in fashion. They remind me a bit of the Wonderbolts, cut in Rainbow, a bit bluntly. Yeah, I know. That's why I called them the Wonder Pugs. Anyway, we were just leaving, and... Rarity, spoke Sweetie Belle excitedly. The puppies' name tags don't have licenses on them, so I was thinking... She gasped before saying, Can we keep them? What? Started Rarity. What? Echoed Rainbow, a bit shocked herself. 1 minute she was going to take the Wonder Pugs away to try a different house. The next, some pony wanted them to stay and live in this one? An indignant meow could be heard from inside Rarity's room, mixed with the same surprise toward the very question. Yeah, chimed Sweetie Belle. Can we keep the Wonder Pugs, Rarity? Can we, Rainbow Dash? Huh? Please, please, please! Before Rainbow could think up the best way to answer without smashing the filly's hopes, Rarity composed herself into a calm manner, and, after taking a couple of big breaths, she said, I'm sorry, Sweetie Belle, but the answer is no. Rainbow and Tank sighed in relief simultaneously. Aw, come on, Rarity, begged Sweetie Belle. I'll take 'em on walks every day. No, Rarity flatly responded. I'll feed them some dog food? No. I'll clean them? No. I'll train them? No, said Rainbow, reaching the limits of her temper. I'll let them sleep in my room? No, shouted Rainbow and Rarity together. I'll even keep them away from Opal, pleaded Sweetie Belle on her back knees. There was a low growl resonating from Rarity's room, sounding as if it were saying, Is that a challenge? Quiet, Opal, commanded Rarity. That's enough coming from you. Rainbow was getting more perplexed by the second after hearing Sweetie Belle's begging. This kid wouldn't quit, would she? Still, she had guts on wanting to keep the puppies safe as much as the six-colored mare had. It was worth a try. Rarity returned her gaze to her little sister and spoke in a more sympathetic tone. Sweetie Belle, I appreciate your concern for the well-being of the Wonder Pugs. Truly I do. But you simply aren't ready to own a pet. You never let me have a pet, groaned Sweetie Belle. It's not fair. And she stomped away to her room, but gave a quick, tiny, reassuring smile to the worried-looking puppies before closing the door. Fillies and their silly desires, pondered Rarity. What will they think of next? Beats me, shrugged Rainbow. Well, we better go. Tank, tell the Wonder Pugs we're heading out. But Rainbow Dash, Rarity interjected, shouldn't you send those poor puppies to Fluttershy? Finished a sour Rainbow. She was getting tired of the same suggestion in a single day. This caught Rarity off guard. Why, yes. But how did you know I was going to? Don't ask. After leaving the Carousel Boutique, Rainbow turned to Tank and the Wonder Pugs. Well, guys, she said, frankly, I guess we'll have to take a break. We've had 3 tries today, and so far, no luck. Tank lowered his head in disappointment. The puppies made their little whimper. Look on the bright side, pointed out Rainbow in her often optimistic manner. Things couldn't get any... Before she could finish, thunder boomed and the sky grew darker, followed shortly by a few raindrops. Worse, she ended dryly. Man, I totally forgot it was gonna rain tonight. Then she heard the puppies whimper again, and when she looked down, she was surprised to see that not only Tank hid in his shell, but the 4 tiny pugs were trying to get in as well through the leg holes. Sadly, they were too small, just like Tank was with Opal's cat door. Easy there, Wonder Pugs, Rainbow soothed. It's okay. We'll find you shelter. But where in Ponyville? She complained. Am I ever going to find a place big enough to hold a pack of puppies for a whole... She stopped in it and instantly beamed as she came up with the answer. Applejack! This ends Part 2.